The big WoW Classic interview. What if we spawned Ragnaros and Stormwind and Orgrimmar? What if they did that?
It's Tibbs, and I'm excited to be back with another video today talking about something that's pretty big. In fact, the word big is in its name, and that is the big WoW Classic interview that was just published by Eurogamer last night. Very interesting article that is essentially an interview that was conducted between Eurogamer and Brian Birmingham, the lead engineer on the Classic WoW project, as well as Omar Gonzalez, who I'm sure you guys already know, one of the senior software engineers at Blizzard working on Classic WoW, and has become a little bit of a celebrity in the Classic WoW community as well. So before I jump into the interview real quick, guys, I do want to give a shout out to Eurogamer, who asked some pretty unique and interesting questions in this interview that I believe much of the...
Think about this, guys. Just want to go ahead and put this into perspective here. It was done by Eurogamers interviewing people about Classic WoW, because Classic WoW takes more time, and because everybody in Europe is on welfare, they have more time to play the game. It's all those little things here that culture just comes together and just really starts to make sense.
The answers to have not been received yet. So we got some really interesting and new information out of the Blizzard devs through this interview. So big pat on the back to Eurogamer. They did a great job here, and we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. So at the very start of the interview, Eurogamer asks about the Classic WoW beta finale event, which involved spawning Ragnaros in the middle of Orgrimmar and Stormwind. Supasoka actually recorded the entire thing on his YouTube channel and released the entire video unabridged,
I really should have done
on
that,
YouTube.
man. That would have been so fun.
If you guys want to check it out, I highly recommend it. I'll put the link in the description below. Very, very interesting, and it's almost like a piece of WoW Classic history at this point.
It will be.
So if you can see me just go ahead and skip through the video a little bit, you can see they started spawning all sorts of crazy stuff in the capital cities. Very reminiscent of old Blizzard from back in the day. So
see, they were afraid. They would not have spawned Ragnaros in my city because I would have killed it. Like, my group of level 40s would have killed Ragnaros, 100%.
Things like Princess Theradress respawned, Sons of Rag were spawned, Ragnaros obviously, and the Sons actually dropped Thunder Fury as well. So a really, really nice and interesting finale event. If you want to see the whole thing and all the shenanigans that went on from the Horde side of things, definitely check out Supasoka's video. But let's move on to some of the more interesting parts of the interview, and I'll start off with this question right here that's on the screen in front of us. So with the closed beta just finished, what have you been noticing about how people have been playing it? A lot of time has passed since the original launch. Are people's habits different, or are people slipping easily back into rhythms that they used to have?
That's actually a really good question.
Essentially, what Eurogamer's trying to ask the developers here is, has player behavior changed over the years? It's a very interesting question, because one of the things that I hear all the time nowadays is that players are different. Gamers are different. Gamers aren't going to so easily accept Classic WoW because it's not 2004 anymore, and people play BRs now and mobile games and MOBAs and all that stuff. So classic RPGs like World of Warcraft, or classic MMORPGs, I should say, are kind of just not really in the times anymore.
So remember the metaphor that I came up with earlier about how streaming is kind of like porn, because people have like a core human need to have social interaction and a feeling of community and belonging? In that same way, Classic WoW is also like porn. And because Classic WoW fulfills a basic human need, it doesn't matter if it's 2004 or 2044. A game like Classic WoW is still going to be viable, and it's still going to be rewarding and compelling to people because it fulfills a basic human need.
And what's really interesting is that the answers that Brian and Omar give pretty much slap that entire hypothesis to pieces. And I'm just going to go ahead and read off some of it. What Brian says is, one thing I noticed was just how passionate people were about the beta. Our expectations for betas is generally we'll get a lot of people come in, try things for a little bit, and then they'll say, okay, I'm going to wait until release now. I've helped you guys test, and now I'm finished. We were really thrilled and blown away by just how much people wanted to play night after night, even though they know these characters are going to get wiped out before release. It really blew us away how dedicated people were. And as somebody that participated in the beta, I completely concur. By the end of the beta, things were kind of dead, so to speak. Obviously, not too many people got into the beta, so naturally populations declined, as they always do. But I also played the BFA beta, and I will tell you, from the experience in that beta, pretty much right away, nobody was playing. I mean, people literally...
Even on the first day of the BFA beta, I didn't even play it. Like, I climbed the mountain and then I ended my stream. I never leveled to 120 in BFA beta. Like, why even waste my fucking time? I mean, it was a waste. It was just boring. I did a little bit of the quest in Drustvar, and I'm like, okay, we'll just do this shit whenever it comes out. Who cares? Like, I didn't waste any fucking time on that. I literally did, I believe, did I do more than one BFA beta stream? I don't even think that I did. I did one BFA beta stream. I said, fuck it, let's go back to retail. And that was it. Why waste your time on BFA? I did two? What did I do on the second one then? Like, I don't know, like, what? Yeah, no, oh, nothing. That's right. I probably just looked at like different random shit. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, I used a horde. That's right. I used a horde shaman to farsight around everywhere while Twitch introduced their new TOS. I remember that was the exact same time. Yes, you're right.
Literally logged in, played for a day or two, and never logged back in again. I was one of those people that tried to stick it out a little bit. I played for a week or two or something like that.
That's a long time.
But then after that, the game pretty much just died out. There was no passion. There was no community scouring through every single class and every single bug. I'm sure there were a couple of people doing stuff like that, but I can definitely say from my experience, not nearly to the degree that people were bug searching on the classic WoW beta. The community was absolutely tremendous.
People are
and
going
I feel
crazy.
like the product that we will get come August 27th will be largely in part due to the community feedback that was submitted. So props to everybody that was submitting bugs like crazy during the beta. You guys are the real MVPs. Are gamers over Classic WoW? Is Classic WoW not a game of this time? Absolutely not. I think Classic WoW is just as relevant today as it was 15 years ago, perhaps even more so because the MMORPG genre has not seen another revolutionary title since World of Warcraft. So I think that there's a lot of people, there's a huge population of...
So, all right, let's come at this from two different directions, all right? First direction, is Classic WoW more relevant than it used to be? The one thing that it does bring to the table is that it brings back a true like time capsule of a return to form of a game that is built around the player base. It is not built around microtransactions. It is not built around participation metrics. It is built around player enjoyment and passion. That is absolutely true, and in that way, it will be more relevant now than it was then, because nowadays, everything else does not go in that direction. But obviously, for its time, WoW was much more groundbreaking than it would be now. I think that now it's going to serve to be more of a meta groundbreaking thing to where people see how much worse games are now in terms of like the way that they're designed.
People that are starved to play a more old school style of MMORPG, a more progression based, slower paced MMO. And I think you're going to see people play Classic WoW and stick to Classic WoW in droves because no other game really meets the demand of these consumers. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next question regarding layering. Eurogamer asks, has there been any unexpected feedback from the beta? Any issues you've seen and want to tell people you're aware of and are addressing? For instance, I've seen people talking a fair bit about layering and opinions are divided on whether it's working. Once again, props to Eurogamer for asking questions that show that they're aware of what's going on in the game. A lot of other generic gaming magazines do not do that, so it's really cool to see them diving a little bit deeper than most other publications do. And the answer that Brian Birmingham gives about layering is the following. The only thing I really want to call out on layering is a lot of people are wondering if the population thresholds in the beta were accurate, and they're not. There were some people who said, did they just turn this on to test it functionally to make sure it worked? That's accurate. The population thresholds for the layering. Okay. So that is good. It's very, very good to hear that. Because, like, obviously there would be times whenever you'd have, like, you'd go into Ironforge, there'd be 4 people in Ironforge, and there'd be 3 different layers. You know, that's not... set the thresholds much lower on the beta than we would for live because we wanted to make sure we were actually testing the feature.
And I said that was gonna fucking happen. And I said that was the case. Everybody knew that was the case. And people on the Classic WoW subreddit still got mad. I knew this was the fucking case. everybody that had a brain knew this was the fucking case. You didn't say shit. I did. Do you really think that I wouldn't have come to the conclusion that layering was existing in a different way than it normally would exist in order to test the way that the system worked? I mean, do you really think that I wouldn't say that? Come on.
Talk about layering here just a little bit. Obviously, I've done my whole video and my whole spiel on layering. Yep. You guys can check that out later. But one thing that's really interesting here that Brian says or confirms, a lot of us already expected this, was that the layering that was done during the Classic WoW beta was not how we will see layering in live.
Yeah.
It was pretty much just testing layering, trying different things,
testing its functionality,
adjusting how big or small layers should be, and basically testing the overall tech. If you guys remember, this is brand new infrastructure. Some people seem to conflate layering with sharding. It's actually totally different when it comes to the back-end side of things. It's not the same technology. There's a lot of similarities, but at the end of the day, it is a brand new system. So I know a lot of people have issues with layering. They have objections.
I feel like layering and sharding are, like, layering is sharding on, like, a really large scale. So, like, sharding's a pool, layering's an ocean. They're both water. You know what I mean? I don't know. To me, it feels like it's the same thing, just on a larger scale.
To layering. I personally, you know, I've got my issues with layering as well, but again, I hashed those out in the other video. But it does kind of put my mind at ease a little bit to know that the layering we saw during the beta will not be the layering that we will see in Classic launch. And I will say that even during the beta, layering changed a lot, to the point where by the end of the beta, layering was actually in a much better place and can no longer really be abused to dodge PvP ganks. And when it comes to exploiting resources in the world, has also been diminished quite a bit. So it's still got a ways to go, but I would assume that the layering we will see in Classic launch is going to be a lot more accommodating for the community, while at the same time not really allowing players to exploit certain mechanics of it. So interesting question. One that I think we got some new insight on. I hadn't heard Brian or anybody from the Blizz team say this quite as explicitly before, but it's good to know that layering still is being iterated on, still being improved, and hopefully we get the final version on August 27th, obviously. Next.
I think that the competitive advantage that people are going to get from abusing layering is a little bit overstated, and especially like its effects on the community and the game as a whole. I think that people are kind of exaggerating that. But for the most part, I mean, obviously nobody wants layering. It just seems like it's Blizzard's best option to an unsolvable problem.
Next question from Eurogamer. Funny you should mention authentic feeling. One thing I remember about original WoW launch was queues. Lots of queues. That's the authentic experience. It would be fitting, wouldn't it, if WoW Classic had the same? Really, really cool to see this guy. Boy. This guy's a gamer. This guy's a Classic WoW gamer for sure. He's literally asking for queue times. You can't get any more old school than that. But he follows up that question with, what are you doing to prepare for launch load? Do you actually expect any queues? And this is probably the most interesting answer out of this entire interview, because it's very telling, and we get some confirmations that we hadn't received in writing before. So I'll start off with Brian Birmingham's response. He says the following when it comes to queue times. Our goal is to get as many people into the game and playing as possible. That's what we want. We don't want people to wait in a queue. But part of this is a problem of prediction. How many people are going to show up? If players blow us away again, there will be queues until we can fix something. This is very, very telling with how the Classic WoW launch is going to go. As far as we knew...
I have no problem with queues, because if queues are going... If I'm in queue, I'm just going to watch videos for the whole time. Like, it doesn't matter. I mean, I sit in queue for an hour, I just watch videos the whole fucking time. It's not like I can't figure this out. I mean, or, oh no, this is so terrible. I mean, the problem is that the queues are going to potentially drive people away from the game. That's what happened in WoD, right? There were so high queues. People, they tried playing it for a few days, and they were like, fuck this, I'm not going to play anymore because I have to wait through an 8-hour queue. It was insane. So hopefully they figure out a better solution than that.
Up until this point, I think a lot of us had a pretty good idea that Blizzard was going to try to avoid queues in 2019. That would make a little bit of sense. But it looks like Blizzard isn't sure if they're going to have queues as of now. I think when it comes to layering and the layering mechanic, part of the reason why that's being implemented is to avoid the idea of queues, or at least to minimize queues as much as possible. Why would you need queues if you have the capacity to roll out tens, dozens, possibly hundreds of different layers to accommodate players and server load? Why on earth would you need queues? You can fit so many more people on a single server at a time. However, I think Blizzard does realize that at some point, you can't put that many players on a server at any particular time, and you will have to institute some kind of queue system if the player amount just absolutely explodes. And I believe that will be the case on some of the larger quote-unquote streamer servers where
invite to Asmongold layer,
larger community members will congregate towards. I think those might experience some queues at launch, but I don't think those queues are going to be insane. I don't think you're going to see 10-hour queues even on streamer servers. I would expect that Blizzard probably puts in place 30-minute to 1-hour queues at absolute most on those mega servers, assuming they pass the thresholds that Blizzard has in mind as an absolute server cap. Now, the next question, which is also very interesting and has to do with launches: how big is the WoW Classic launch in comparison to something like a WoW expansion? Is it different internally? Again, another really interesting, nuanced, and sort of behind-the-curtain question that Eurogamer asks here. Not a lot of publications ask these type of questions, so that's why I'm really psyched about this interview. But look at the answer that Omar Gonzalez gives. There are some differences and similarities. We will likely set up a war room like NASA Mission Control, where we have all hands on deck. On one hand, it's a little bit simpler because what players will be doing is more known. But on the other hand, it's much more complicated because we've built out effectively a whole new infrastructure. That's something we typically don't do for an expansion. An expansion launch is much more of a software upgrade. Our classic launch will include hardware deploys in all of the various regions, something we haven't done in almost 15 years.
Wow.
That is absolutely insane, guys. I know there's been a bit of a worry circulating around the community about systems like layering being used to save Blizzard money and to cut costs and stuff like that. I'm going to go back to the Jurassic Park meme. I'm pretty sure Blizzard has spared no expense in a lot of the ways they're building out Classic. I think they understand, especially for that first launch period, how important it is to make sure the game is up. I'm not sure how aware they are of the overall hype of the game, but I think they understand that this game is going to be very, very hyped up, at least that first couple of month period. So they've decided to acquire brand new hardware for the first time since WoW launched back in 2004 and deploy all of that for Classic launch, which is, on the one hand, really, really exciting. It shows that they care. It shows that they're willing to bust out the wallet and pay out money to make sure the launch is secure. But on the other hand, a little bit scary, because if you guys have ever worked in production environments or anything like that, you'll know that whenever something is rolled out new for the first time, there's usually problems, and things don't always go as smoothly as you might hope. In fact, they seldom do. So if I were to take a guess, seeing that Blizzard's bringing on a whole new deck to accommodate Classic launch, I would kind of go into launch with a mindset that there's probably going to be a lot of server crashes. There's probably going to be a lot of delays. So don't get too frustrated if that happens, because at the end of the day, it's inevitable. Whenever you use new tech, things are bound to go wrong. And
that's completely true. I mean, like, Classic launch is probably going to be a shit show. If it's not a shit show, I don't know. I'll buy stock in Blizzard. Like, I mean, I can't imagine them doing this and it not being a complete disaster.
Brian follows that up by saying, definitely in terms of rough sizing, we are treating it as the same level of event internally as a major expansion launch. It's all hands on deck. The whole World of Warcraft team is lending a hand, making sure we are good to go.
So that means the people that are involved in pet battles are involved in Classic WoW. So that means they're going to add pet battles into Classic WoW. We had a good run, guys, but apparently it's going to be dead even before it comes out. Shit.
Which, once again, very, very exciting. I think the World of Warcraft team has like 120 or 160 people. I can't remember the exact amount. I could be totally off on that, but it's a pretty large team. So to see that Blizzard is pulling from their entire team, all of their resources, shows that they're treating Classic WoW as a serious standalone game, not some kind of side project that some guy developed in the janitor's closet. This is real, this is happening, and they're willing to pour out their resources for it. And then we have what I think is the last most interesting question of this interview overall. Eurogamer asks, what happens when the 6 phases are done? What happens with expansion rollout? Before I continue here, we have had a couple of interviews, including one that I did with John Haidt and Omar Gonzalez a couple months back. We have had a couple of interviews where Blizzard has at least suggested that they're open to the idea of developing TBC, Wrath of the Lich King servers, etc. And Brian's answer here somewhat adds fuel to that fire. He starts off very diplomatic and says, I don't know that we have any plans right now. We're focused entirely on WoW Classic and making sure it's going to be great, blah, 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 blah. We wanted to respond and give them, the community, what they've been asking us for. We will continue to listen to community feedback, and we want to know what people think and want to see next. And those last couple of words are really, really important. We want to know what people think and want to see next. This response shows and confirms, in my opinion, that Blizzard is very open to developing either more content for Classic specifically or moving on to a Classic TBC. I can almost guarantee you that they've brought up that question several times in the office right now over the past several months, possibly even before Classic WoW was even announced. And if they see that the community really wants to see Classic TBC, Classic Wrath, or possibly extra content for Classic itself, you can bet your bottom that Blizzard will go down that path. They're just waiting to hear it from us. So, you guys know what to do. Let's get those petitions going. Let's get vocal on the forums. Let's get those videos out. All content creators, new and old, petition, publish those videos. We want to see more content down the line. TBC, Wrath of the Lich King, whatever you guys want. I'm sure Blizzard is very, very open to it. I don't know about you guys. I love Classic WoW. I love Vanilla. It's my favorite version of World of Warcraft. But the idea of going back and playing TBC and Wrath of the Lich King even a little bit seems pretty exciting too. But at the end of the day, for me, it's always been about Vanilla. So we'll see what happens next. Yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for this interview. I hope you guys enjoyed it very much. I've got another video releasing tomorrow, the Classic WoW Shaman Deep Dive that I've done with Milksteak. Very exciting. I'll put that up for you guys tomorrow. And then a couple of more videos on the way, obviously leading up until launch. I bet he plays a torrent. Exciting things to come, guys. 27, is it 27 or 28 days left till Classic launch? 26 really, really exciting. Can't wait to play it with you guys 26. On August 26th in US, 27th in EU. And yeah, we'll see how things go. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, sub it up and stick around because we got more coming. For more Classic WoW content, news, and updates, you can follow me on Twitter, which is linked in the description below. And obviously, if you want to catch me live, you can check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/tipsoutbaby. Stream pretty much every day. There it is, dude. On a little bit of a break, but I'll be coming back to you guys tomorrow and hopefully consistent up until launch and through launch. And I'll talk about my Classic plans in another video. But all right, guys, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful day, fellas. And as always, tips out, baby.
I'm glad he's kept the same intro, or the outro. I love that. Okay, so let's look all the way down here, and we'll see what people have to say. Buy World of Warcraft Cataclysm on Amazon. That's a good question. Why the fuck is that even on there? I have no idea. Client for Classic Ruler Testament, how good a 15-year-old game is. Hasn't been bested and likely will not be in a long time. Poggers in the chat. I really hope they don't try to weasel in WoW Store. Oh, come on. Come on, man. Like, why do you... Man, why y'all gotta talk about this dumbass shit? Like, they're not gonna do this, man. Like, they're not gonna fucking do this. Like, I don't understand the WoW Store. Holy fuck. Like, the Classic community, like, they're just so fucking paranoid, man. They're more paranoid than Alex Jones. It's insane. I don't get it at all, man. I really don't fucking understand. Asmongold, Mecha, gone hard mode. Okay, minimum item level, we're gonna do 430, okay? Make sure we only get good players in here. Okay, just 1 second. All right, let's make this happen. They turned the frogs gay, though? Yeah, exactly. All right, please link me an achievement that tells me that you're good, like for completing the hard mode. Maladosh, I've played with you before. I know you're good. Okay, that's our healer done. Okay, so let's look at the rest of these comments here. I mean, like, come on, guys. We'd like to see them go in a completely different direction for the future Classic expansions, but keep the core gameplay of Classic. That's a big risk, but I hope that's the case. Nearly unbelievable how hyped I am. I started playing WoW during beta 2, I think. I have one character I created during November 23rd, 2004. It's still level 60 with the Legacy Unarmored Mount. I'm very, very jealous of that. Good old hunters, 99% sure that there will be no store put in. That would go against everything they've said since the announcement. Obviously not. Probably personally would hope to see them go somewhere else rather than add more content to TBC. I mean, I'd rather see a TBC server. I think that's a smarter thing to do. But I'd also like to see Classic Plus content. I don't know really what I'd want to see more. Why not keep WoW Classic servers and add TBC servers later if needed? That's a smart idea. Obviously, that's what they should do. And let's see, watch the next hype video. No, because I've already watched it a dozen times on my stream. You can just go watch me watching it before. Okay, let's see. Any more leeway feature? Who gives a fuck? Okay, let's see. Is there anything else besides that? Realm list anywhere? Nobody knows. Okay, yeah, that's about it. So the Classic, I think the interview did a really good job, or the interviewer did a very, very good job. Everything made sense, and everything they're saying, like, well, I know all these people, Hunt Bruh. Okay, we're gonna invite Hunt Bruh in here.